I haven't really told any sales rebellion stories up to this point. So I'm going to tell one right now. My favorite story right now about the sales rebellion, and what comes to mind almost immediately, is particularly an account that I was working on that I had with the account. I had no interaction 1v1 with the decision maker, but I knew that he knew who I was because I had put in a little bit of effort to get in touch with him, and I tried a couple different things, and I knew that he was seeing what I was putting out there. But really what I was doing on top of that is I was directing him back to my content space. That was what I was doing throughout the process, and just kind of passively allowing this relationship to build. And so in the process of doing that, what happened over those 2 years is that I infected this human, right? Like he was just suddenly indoctrinated by what it was that I was doing in a good way, right? When he reached out to me after 2 solid years, you know, he told me that, man, I love what you're doing. And I thought to myself, I want to be a part of it. And I want to get going with this. Well, what happened furthermore though, is that the same individual then trusted me because of the post that I had made. He said, I wanted to ask for a favor. And he asked if I would speak with one of his sales reps that was having a hard time, and not just a hard time with selling more stuff and being proactive from that perspective, but a hard time with their life, and actually was struggling with depression and going through kind of an episode of just that at the time when he reached out to me. And so I got on the phone of just like out of faith. I got on the phone with this particular individual, and I just allowed the conversation to kind of go the way that it needed to go. Right. And it was awesome because it ended up becoming a conversation that turned into now, you know, that I'm about to be working with his team, and I have this relationship with this individual outside of just what it is that, you know, him and I had a phone conversation on, or the fact even that he needs help with his sales walk. It's that I have skin in the game with this person now as well. And I feel like it's created a much more, or I should say it's created a significant difference in the way that my relationship works with the owner of the organization as well too now, where he is looking at me from a completely different perspective at this point as well. So it's like full circle. The whole thing just feels so well put together, and it basically it's a sales cycle, right? Like through content and just kind of, you know, throwing a couple touch pieces out there every once in a while to engage this individual with me.
That never happens. You ask a sales rep to, hey, would you help one of my teammates with an issue they have? I mean, that's incredible.
No doubt. I mean, I honestly, I was blown away by it, but also that's the big reason why the sales rebellion exists and why we are what we are from the capacity of what we've been able to accomplish in the first place. It's because individuals like that get to see a different side of us in the process of looking into our company and looking into me. They dig things up, you know, because we wear everything we are on our sleeve. You know, we talk about this internally a lot, but we believe that we are the heart and soul of sales, and that's what's missing right now inside of the entire sales world, is that, like, you can get systems and, you know, all the different processes, like, they're out there, man. You can just get online and download them for free in some cases as well too, right? You don't necessarily need to pay someone to come and train you on this stuff, but I think what people are looking for right now more than anything, especially individual contributors, is an outlet to be able to go with their personal issues. Because this young man will be a top performer in 2020. He was in 2019, right? But the fact that he's battling with these things, and his boss doesn't know how to really help him with that. You know, it's not like everybody has the ability to just get on the phone with someone and connect with them from that perspective. But again, we believe inside of the sales world that we have to transcend the norms, and we have to take a leap of faith. But we're also in the belief of listening, right? We're very good at it. Everybody, not just me, but all my coaches are very good at listening, active listening too. So not just, I hear what you're saying and let me give you all the different ingredients on how to fix it, but listening and then helping that person to identify what it is that they're telling us, more so than just the words that they're expressing from the perspective of that, well, this is how I feel. It's deeper than that. It's actually, it's not just how you feel, it's who you are, right? That you're expressing to us in those moments. And so active listening is a big piece of the puzzle too. So obviously I was like a little shy on the exact information because the guy
Oh,
was
sure.
literally like, and I know since we were talking, I mean, he was holed up in a hotel room telling people he's going to kill himself.
Yeah.
So it was a different situation, right? But just from, again, just like a client reaching out from content for 2 years and me kind of like poking at him a little bit here and there, right? And then after 4 days of him committing $10,000 with me for
Uh-huh.
2 hours of my time, the day before all that happened, and I was the first guy. He was like, look, I need someone to, I don't know how to help this kid. He's been looking at your stuff. He told me he added you on LinkedIn, and he did. All that stuff was true. And I just said, well, shoot him my cell phone and
Mhm.
see if he calls me.
Yeah.
Because I also know the power of the threat, from being someone that actively deals with it. I know the power, but like the threat, it can be a threat, dude. And like you can use the I'm going to kill myself as a threat to get attention.
Mhm.
And what the problem is though, is it's people don't take it seriously in most cases.
Mhm.
It's like the boy who cried wolf concept. Like
Yeah.
he's been here before, he's done this before. So I told him, I said, you give him my number and then you call the police. That's what I told him. I said, call the police because I don't want to be on the phone with this kid and then to hear a gun go off and there not be some kind of proactiveness happening on the back end because I don't know him and I
Mhm.
don't know any of you.
Mhm.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
now he's retained me for 6 months. I told Jeff, I was like, my business partner, I just said, dude, what a sales cycle, right? Like, I mean, it's insane. Like this transcends the norm of the sales cycle, right? Because content leading to a purchase,
Mhm.
leading to him trusting me with something so intimate. And by the way, this kid, it's like his son, right?
Mhm.
Is how he looks at it. They're not just like boss and employee kind of thing. Like they spend personal time together. And so, and then I come out, I do the training. Following week, he hires me for a retainer, and they're
Mhm.
spending like 30 grand on the retainer for the next 6 months. So
That's phenomenal. Yeah.
wild, dude.
And I'll respect this and not include this in the
I figured.
podcast. But yeah, no, that's awesome, buddy. Tell you, okay, so let's hit the next segment. So here's
Cool.
where we're uh, brainstorming an idea for starting a business. And the idea, the parameters are it's starting from scratch. Can be something you've been thinking about for a while, but you don't have an advertising budget, and let's say there's like 6 to 9 months, and you got to make it work within that time period. So the focus is very much now on different ways to do networking. So let's come up with a business idea, and I have a list of some random stuff, but I'm curious if you have like, I don't know, maybe you want to start a cafe somewhere, or you've thought about a consultancy for a particular thing, anything top of any ideas that you've been thinking about for a while for starting a business,
So this might be a little weird,
which is
but
great.
but we've even thought about how does this maybe fit into the rebellion to some capacity. But you ever heard of iBeacons? You know what iBeacons are?
No, what are they?
So I don't even know that they're called that anymore, to be honest with you. But 6 or 7 years ago, it was starting to be popularized where there are these little Bluetooth devices that you can stick in your office, let's just say, and somebody walks in the front door and gets within a certain radius of what you program the iBeacon for. And if
Mhm.
they have Bluetooth turned on their phone, it will ping them with a notification. And the thought was, there's a lot of people have thrown a ton of ideas out about iBeacons, but the thought is that from the sales perspective, that how cool would it be to be able to provide an experience for the people visiting your office for like a tour, right? Where instead of kind of walking in the front door, that you walked in the front door and then your phone exploded and it was like welcome,
Yeah,
to the office, and then it took them through a series of videos and events that
nice,
would happen, and maybe
nice.
even like the concept of it, because we love augmented reality over here at the Sales Rebellion, and I would share the augmented reality ideas,
Uh,
but we're doing them, so I
yeah,
don't want anybody to steal it. Right. Yeah,
that's.
they can steal it once I'm done.
I don't
But
remember. Maybe I'll find the name of the book and I'll throw it in the show notes. But there was a book I read like not 5 months ago, and it was all about the like where the future is going with 5G and the Internet of Things. And the author was making a point almost like this, such that we'll be able to map out rooms in buildings and locations in cities and so on so that as somebody enters a room, you're getting contextually aware information based on your physical location,
Yes.
videos showing up or welcome or notification or
Right.
being able to leave something for somebody else. And that's just going to become normal. Anyhow,
Yeah, that's
that would
super
be
cool.
fun.
It's a cool thought, right? Because like as a copier salesman, we used to give a tour through the office. In my mind, it always popped into my head of, well, what if when we went to the sales bullpen, something popped up on the phone that was super sarcastic and was like, "You've entered the dungeon,"
Yeah.
and like, "Get ready to sign," and it was fun and interactive for the client, but also like if you incorporated augmented reality, for example, you could walk into a showroom. There'd be nothing in the showroom, right? Where the client comes in thinking they're going to see, as a copier salesman, as an example on that side, they're gonna see 8 or 9 pieces of equipment. That's what they typically are used to when they go to a showroom for a copier company. But there's nothing in there. Right? Imagine that your phone pings and the person giving you the tour is like, "Go ahead, open it up," right? And it has a download for this augmented reality app, and you turn it on, and the whole room populates. Right, and you can like switch through machines, and you can
Uh-huh.
tell it what features you want. They'll pop up right in front of you, and you can watch everything happen, right? And like do an entire demo through
Mm.
augmented reality, and do it with anything that you want, right? So, I got this idea from doing virtual demos where people will log in and they'll look at whether it's a webinar or it's a physical product, and so you're on a Zoom recording, and you're looking at a device and you're seeing how to use it, and you're like observing everything in the process, right?
Mm.
It's an experiential concept.
Yeah.
And I think what we've gotten away from in sales is the experience, right? We have a real cool signatures page and a sweet brochure on our product, and we don't give people experiences. So if you were starting a company, take iBeacons, sell them to companies all over the world, make lots of money, and I'll be super proud of you.
Okay, so let's just unpack that for a second here then. So let's say the product is iBeacons, but it's not just iBeacon is the delivery mechanism for creating more exciting experiences um, around your product or your business or whatever. And that's really the goal, is like you just said, to create more engaging experiences around point of sale, around entering the
Yep.
coffee shop, around going to school, and so on. So say the product is this iBeacon. How would you what would you do within the first 6 to 9 months to get that off the ground? Again, parameters being with this no ad spending, so it's more of the person-to-person networking or something. Where would you start to start growing
So,
that
well,
business?
can I make a prototype? Can I make a prototype?
How
Is
do you
that
mean?
cheating?
No,
So
you
like,
can.
can I have an iBeacon loaded up with a demo
Oh,
essentially of the
totally.
product?
Yeah.
Cool. So like if that's my realm, if I have the product itself and I'm going to go sell, but I can't Google AdWords, I can't use social media, even if I'm using it for free, right? If I can't do any of that, and I
Mm.
am going, honestly, like I would prefer it to be face to face as I'm launching a product like this anyway, because it's way more experiential than just saying, "Hey, check out this really cool concept through this ClickFunnel and buy it."
Yeah.
Nobody cares. But if I walked in your office, or let's
Mm.
just say that I was at that networking event and I popped out the iBeacon and said, "This is what I do," and then I hit go and I said, "Everybody turn your Bluetooth on your phone," which most people just automatically have it on these days, right?
Yeah.
So which is great about the year 2020. Shout out to 2020. So the idea being, though, if I hit the iBeacon on and everybody in the room gets a notification and they all pull this app up and they have this experience in the room with me, and I cater it even to what's happening around me in the room, where even if the AR was like, it was some kind of mask for people's faces, and so as you like held it around the room, people started to look like Chewbacca or whatever, right? Like, it just, to create something where I then could translate to folks. Imagine that somebody walks in the front door of your retail business or your B2B office space, or you're a pack and ship company, a logistics firm. Imagine also using the same product. Another idea for the outreach portion of that would be, what if you just mailed them to people, right? And I've that's part of the whole concept of why I came up with this idea to begin with,
Mm.
was what if, instead of the crumpled letters that we send out, what if we were sending an iBeacon, right, in some fun way where it just shows up in a box, but everybody in the office is getting pinged on their Bluetooth device, and we made a game out of it, right? Like, where You know,
Oh,
we
that's
were telling people like,
hilarious.
hey, try
Yeah.
to find me. I'm in a box somewhere that just showed up in the mail and I've got a $10 gift certificate inside of me. Like, and again, I'm just babbling at this point,
Yeah.
but hopefully it's giving people some good ideas, right? Because the thing is that you don't need ad spend to push a product. Like what's most important inside a business is just to do. And so if you're sitting back and you're like calculating like, oh, okay, we're going to spend $20 here and $50 there, and we're going to make these 25 blogs. If you go out and you shake people's hands and you tell them what you're trying to accomplish, that's all it takes. You just got to do it every day, just like you would show up in their feed. But the problem is in their feed, there's too much crap. How are they going to differentiate you from the next in the first place? So creating an experience around it, theming everything aesthetically, the clothes you wear, the hat you have on. I mean, the whole nine, right? Like if people could have that experience through it, you'd be off the ground in a $10 million company in no time. And I'll take residuals mailed to my home office also.
So let me summarize then the practices then that, or the ideas that you have here is whatever the product would be, but you would start by doing the thing, not just pitching it. And then presenting that, either walking into a business or mailing them a copy of it or something, some way for them to experience that beyond content on social. After that, I imagine there'd be some sort of a follow-up. But at that point, you've got it in their hands, especially if it's a physical thing, or you've done something to give them a taste or give them an experience of what it's going to be like to keep using that product. So even before they've paid for anything, you're leading with a little excitement, but you're also leading with proof. Is that right?
Right. Correct. Yeah. You're causing curiosity. You're giving them an experience. You're activating a lot of their senses that they use in order to become more emotionally involved with something to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
You're activating the brain better. That all around what you're doing is you're number one, you're honoring the work that your work, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge piece of the puzzle. You're honoring the work and what you want to do for people by giving them the experience they deserve and going all out, right? You know, my dad used to just say, when I would run an idea by him and I would say, what do you think? You know, he would literally look at me and be like, who cares what I think? Like, is this you giving your 100% and that 10% extra on top of it? If
Mm-hmm.
that's the case, then just do it and see what happens. And what happened was the quality of the tribe that I built, right? Where maybe not everybody says yes, you know, under this formula, but the right people say yes and become attracted to the product that you're putting out there in the first place. So I think really it's about quality inside of that approach and inside of, you know, designing a product around something that gives people such an immense differentiator for their business. They don't care, bro. At the end of the day, they don't care. You can tell them that all day long. They don't care. But if you can help them experience it and you can show that, look, I went out of my way and sacrificed my own personal time to make sure that you had this instead of a crappy phone call or a ClickFunnel or a terrible email that I send 250 times to you,
Mm-hmm.
then we can build a better relationship, you know? So just that
Absolutely.
focus on humans.
And I think implied in what you've just said there is uh, there's now less of a focus on scraping a list and then just hitting up everybody on the list, and the law of averages, spitting out a couple of, warm leads. What you're saying is to dial in as tightly as possible and find the few that you would really want to spend time with, and then doing something creative or experiential for them.
Yes, 100%.
Awesome. I think that was a great segment there. I would love to, I don't know if you have like 30 seconds maybe. One of the challenges of running like a web design company is everything is just, it's online, it's all in the cloud. How would you pitch a web, or how would you do something more experiential with a web design company?
Yeah, so like I work with a couple of people that are in web design and it is difficult. The thing is that we want to speak to the audience.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the biggest piece of the puzzle, is that we want to speak to the audience. It's not like a broad stroke either. We want to pick out like, okay, these are the people we want to work with. So for example, with one of the people that I support on the sales side, what they have doubled down on is like using foul language in their outreach, because they deal with they want, what they want are engineers and contractors. Well,
Yeah.
just contractors really, and construction folks.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys they're fishing, they're hunting, they're good old boys, right? They say the F word 80 times a day, right? Like in one sentence, you know. And the thing is that when you speak to those people, you give them what they want, you know, because I think that even them, like they're sending the letter campaign, like that's how they're doing it. They're sending the letter campaign, then directing people back to their landing pages, ClickFunnels,
Mm-hmm.
to get an appointment with them. So they're going offline to online kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
giving them this thing that they can tangibly touch, feel, smell, right? Because some of them, like the burn letter, has a scent, you know, it smells like it's on fire, right? So there's that whole process. So like what I would say though is, if you were trying to do it all online and you didn't want to send people physical mail, is that
No, I actually, that's what I kind of want to break. Like for
cool.
me, because everything that I do, yeah, it's all digital, it's email. I mean, I'm trying to do stuff that is unique, like video chatting, just relying on that as a personalizing thing, or reaching out with gifts before asking, you know, or pitching or anything. But I love the idea of being able to go offline. Anyhow, something I need to think about. It probably just comes back to the nature of the business beyond the actual service. Okay,
Yeah, truly.
let's go into the quote segment. So, do you have a favorite quote? And if you do, uh, why is it meaningful to you?
Yeah, my favorite quote is, and actually there's like 4 people that believe that they wrote this quote. So, and you could just Google it and see all their names, because I don't like to try and keep up with everybody. But the one that my dad had on his wall was Robert Reiner, and it was on a piece of parchment paper. It was a really cool painting that he had bought when he first started his business, and it said, "Bleach the bones of countless millions who on the verge of victory sat down to rest, and while resting they died." And I remember the significance of that more than anything was that I remember the first time I ever looked at it, I had a good work ethic, but internally and what I wanted out of life was to be kind of lazy. Was
Mm.
that I wanted all the success that was being built around me to some capacity to just kind of transfer into me. And at that point, it was from burnout, to be honest with you, because I had been touring for so long, and it's grueling, dude. You know, you
Mhm.
sweat 10 pounds off every day. You eat pizza for dinner every night, and it gets to you, right? Not just like your stomach, but your mental capacity as
Yeah.
well. And so like over that course of time, when I came back into the business world, I thought like, man, I paid my dues. Like, you know, I'm going to come and help my dad build his company and just kind of ride the coattails. And I learned real quickly that wasn't going to happen. It was going to be me that made the choices to do these things. And I walked in and looked at that painting every day in his office.
Mhm.
And to kind of to tie it back to the fact that this is the first thing he put up when he opened his office, right next to another painting of a man on top of a mountain. And there was a scripture underneath it that it was a psalm that I can't remember for the life of me, but and I don't know where the painting is, or else I'd know it. But there was multiple mountains out in front of this man, you know, and he stood on one peak and he was like looking out at them. So like
Mhm.
a lot of the promotion that we use is me with a backwards hat on, you know, and so you see like a visual from behind me looking out into stuff, and it's because of that. It's because of this concept of that on that mountain, you know, on the verge of victory, on the verge of conquering these other 20 mountains, you sit down to rest
Mhm.
and everything stops. You never reach the full potential that you truly, really desire. Instead, you say, I got enough money now. Things are good. You know, I can just kind of stop. But it's not about the money. It's not about you either. It's
Mhm.
about the community in which you have the ability to serve, and all the little things that are going to happen in the process of that as well too. Someone else's life. This is a shared environment, this earth. It's a shared community, and it's generational. What's your legacy going to be? Mine's definitely not going to be the quote from that painting.
That's powerful stuff. I'm going to make sure that that's in the show notes too for that one. Oh,
Sick.
cool. So last one. um, why are stories valuable in brand communication and messaging and marketing? Like, why do you enjoy them? Why do you tell them?
I think that stories are primal. It is the oldest form of communication between two humans, right? Where you can go back to cave paintings and understand that that's imagery of one man telling a story to another, right? And when I say man, that can mean woman too for everybody listening.
Sure.
I've been saying guys a lot, by the way, just for the record, and like because I was taught that means kind of every sex, right? But
Mm-hmm.
apparently that's not a cool thing, so I'm working on that, right? Sorry, Gen Z. I'm a millennial. Okay, what can I say? But the idea though of a story is even like what I just told you, like right, like your brain just went somewhere with me and followed me down that little rabbit hole in that moment. And
Mm-hmm.
so a story is powerful because we can convey and transfer emotion. The transference of emotion is a massive piece of the puzzle to storytelling as well too, because if I can tell you a story about my dad and the way that he impacted my life, you might not share that same story, but in the process of me telling it, I guarantee you'll go back to your father, whether you knew him or not, whether you loved him or you didn't. You'll go there with me, you'll meet me, and you'll be in a place with me that's different than what you're used to, and it causes vulnerability. The wall breaks down. You want to learn more, you want to converse more, and maybe it's even a little bit uncomfortable, but that's good. It's the kind of challenge that we need to portray to one another in the first place through communication.
Mm-hmm.
It is intentional. Stories are intentional, right? They are so transcendent to normal communication that, from my perspective at least, I believe that we need to be telling more of them. We don't just need to be telling them to manipulate people and get them to buy our stuff either, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need to be at the end of the day, how was your day? What do you typically say to your significant other when they say, how was your day? Oh, it was fine. I did this, I did that, right? And maybe the story you tell isn't fair to them. Maybe it doesn't build them up. Maybe it doesn't bring you closer to them in your relationship. Maybe it's negative and you never really even thought of it that way, right? Do you come home at the end of the day and tell a story that doesn't convey the true value of what your day held in the first place, or help the person that's listening on the other end, your kids, right? Your dad, calling like, how's your month going? How's your year? If you barely talk to them, right? Like the story you tell should be something that connects that person with you even further, even deeper. We have a limited amount of time on this earth, bro. And because of that, I believe that every interaction should be a story, because a story is what takes us deeper into not just into the culture and existence of one another, but to ourselves. We get to connect deeper with ourselves as well too. So